Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maximo and I'm here checking out Little Red Lie. This is, well, it's not the sequel to Actual Sunlight, but it's from the same dev. It touches on the same themes, but with a different overarching theme, and it's the same basic gameplay. There's a couple of different things you can do in it, but, excuse me, but it is basically the same sort of thing in a different skin, so if you saw my video on Actual Sunlight, be prepared for something similar to that. This isn't really a game in the grand scheme of things. This is more like a visual novel, more than anything else, just with a little bit of extra walking around. So, without further ado, shall we just hit continue and pop in? I can't tell you how long I've been playing for, because I've mainly been playing this on and off, and I haven't had access to, well, it's not like I haven't had access to my stopwatch, but I just didn't bother timing myself, because honestly, it seems kind of ridiculous that I have to do that, but anyway, I'm pretty sure I've been playing it for about an hour, maybe? I can't say for sure. I know for a fact that this game is a lot longer than Actual Sunlight. Actual Sunlight only went for an hour, and judging by the amount of time people have put into this on Steam and given positive reviews for it, this game's about 6, which is actually kind of long for this sort of thing, but whatever. Let's get into it. So, as I said, this is a lot like Actual Sunlight, where there's really not that much interaction going on. You're mainly just going up and talking to people. So, there's a couple of things you can do. You can just walk around and you can press the circle button to highlight everything that you can interact with, right? And that is pretty much it. Like, you can go and interact with people like this, and there you go. So, the general idea of this story is that you have a little bit of a weird thing going in. The game gives you this little bit of assessment that asks you whether or not you make like certain amounts of money or something like that, and it actually modifies the game depending on that. I didn't actually do that. I figured I'd see what it was like generically. That, and I'm in a lot better of a situation than I know a lot of people are, so I don't really think that that would be a good thing for me to talk about on this sort of thing anyway, because I'd have to tell you exactly what I put in for this to make a little bit more sense, and, well, I'm not going to do that because that's my life. So, the general concept of this game, what they're kind of advertising it on, is that pretty much everything you do in this game, and by do, I mean every interaction that you do, is a lie. Like you can see down here, lie about desire to get rubbed, lie about respect for commoners, lie about honor of being on TV. You get the general idea. Everything you do in this game is a lie, and also everything that your characters say. You control 2 different characters in this game, and from chapter to chapter you swap between them. And every time the text goes red, that's when you're lying, and it's a little bit weird. Just that little bit, because it just kind of makes you wonder what they'd really be saying. And sometimes you do actually get that opportunity, but it's not really presented as the opportunity to tell the truth. Like, here's an opportunity right here. So, you might notice that the text you select is actually being read. So, you know, you're lying about it technically in the world of the game. It's a little bit confusing, honestly. I admit I'm not the fastest person in the world, so a lot of the messages that might be coming through here are being lost on me. But at the same time, you do get choices from time to time, and the further down you go, the more of the truth that you tell. At least I think. It's really fucking weird. Like, you've got a bunch of choices to make, but every choice that you make seems like you've just been picking the same option anyway, and I'm not entirely sure if these choices actually make a difference or anything, or if it's just how Actual Sunlight was, where it ends the same way anyway, at least most of the time. Did that game end the same way? I'm trying to remember. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now, but I'll keep talking about this game anyway. And I'm sorry that I can't actually, you know, let you focus on the text if you want to. But, you know, you do this is a game where it's entirely text. There's no voice acting, no anything like that. Very minimalistic presentation in the form of graphics and sound. Not that much in the way of music or sound effects, and what's there is meant as punctuation, really. But, I mean, yeah, it's pretty simple. You're meant to focus on the text, and that is absolutely that is absolutely fine, since he does want you to focus on the text. And so, it jumps back and forth between these two. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is meant to be the sort of... Not the sort of. I'm trying to think of the way to talk about this problem, because I don't want to bring my own personal politics into this, because nobody wants to hear about my fucking personal politics. It is not a thing that I should be talking about. I'm a guy who does PlayStation Vita videos on YouTube, and I get to avoid a lot of the bombshells that drop on people because of politics. So, this is basically about capitalism. More or less. It's an overly... no, is that the word I want to use? It's trying to be the hard truth about capitalism. That's basically what's going on here. You swap between this big, rich dude who seems to resemble a more sane Alex Jones, and then you swap to another lady who is currently going through money problems, and we'll get to see one of her... We'll get to see one of her chapters very shortly. But, yeah, that's the general idea. You're swapping back and forth between the high-end and the low-end, and the high-end guy is obviously a jerk, and the low-end lady is obviously trying to be a good person in a bad situation, but neither of them can stop lying. Which seems to be the point of the whole thing. And, yeah, Little Red Lie, who would have thought? And it's funny how the game calls itself Little Red Lie. These aren't little lies. These are huge lies. Like, honest to God, these are some massive lies that can really change people's lives. And, yeah, here we go. Here's the girl chapter. It's basically the same presentation-wise. You got people. You go talk to them. You do the simplest of puzzles in order to justify letting people walk around and talk about their internal monologues. That is kind of a nice thing that you can do. Let people go and talk about themselves a bit more by talking to other people and looking at other objects and stuff like that. But yeah, it's basically trying to talk about the evils of capitalism by having a lot of rich dudes being evil psychopaths and people who are down in the dumps and turning into psychopaths and horrible people because of that. And, well, I gotta admit, it's not hitting me as hard as the typical thing like this. It doesn't hit me as hard as Actual Sunlight. Actual Sunlight actually hit me in the place that I know, more or less. This game is a little bit different, and I don't know if that's because I'm not exposed to the evils of capitalism, I say with finger quotes, as much as any other particular person. And that's the thing. I'm not sure if it's because I don't understand it, or if it's because the message feels a bit off the cuff. But it's just a bit weird to me, because a lot of these things are relatively, like, relatively notable. That's not the phrase I should use. A lot of these things are truth. Like, a few things that are talked about here are definitely hard truths that you don't really want to think about, and it definitely does have that hard-hitting, factual, realistic tone that Actual Sunlight did. And I'll at least give him a little bit of credit for maintaining the tone while talking about as wide of a subject like this is. But at the same time, some of it just feels really weird and overemphasized, and we have to talk about it, I guess, in today's political climate. As I said, there was a little bit of a Unity bug right there. I saw that. Yeah, as I was saying, the game is a little bit... It is a little bit over the top. At least I think so, because it does seem to hit everything a little bit harder than it should be. I mean, there are some... it does kind of have this annoying way, at least so far, of portraying all the rich people as evil and all the poor people as good or poor or just in bad situations or what have you, especially in the first chapter you run into with the Alex Jones character, where he's just constantly lying to people who are coming up with sob stories, and it's like, this is the sort of way that I would react to these sets of people, more or less. I mean, empathy is something that you do need to have from time to time, but it's weird, as I said. It's just really weird how it seems to have this annoying idea that all rich people are bad and how all poor people are good. But then again, at the same time, you are playing as this protagonist here who is just constantly lying about her own situation, her family, her situation. I said that twice, didn't I? But you get the general idea. It feels a bit over the top, and it feels a bit old man yells at a cloud. Because, as I was saying, we need to talk about this in today's political climate. And today's political climate is a bit weird because we literally have fucking fascists and communists getting public spotlight for some reason. Like, of course it's the media. It's always the media's fault. And we literally just went through a whole section where the media is full of shit. That was literally the title of that chapter. Like, they show you titles of chapters as you come into them. Except for some reason it didn't actually show up on this chapter. And the title of that chapter is literally the media is full of shit. That is the entire point of that. But yeah, it really does feel a bit like that, because as evil as capitalism is, as the amount of bad stuff that capitalism has caused, especially in the United States, which I'm aware that this guy comes from. At least I think. I'm pretty sure. Capitalism isn't going very well over there. But at the same time, I mean, communism and fascism isn't a particularly great way to go about it either. And the problem with all the sorts of people who say capitalism is evil and that, you know, we should go for something else, we should try for something else, are never able to suggest anything else. They're never able to suggest another solution. And that's kind of the thing about me and talking about things like capitalism and stuff like that. I feel like my problem with it is if you don't have a solution, you really shouldn't be talking about the problem. At least not in massive broad strokes like this one. Like, there are minor things that you really should be able to, like, solve in capitalism, like, you know, medical bills and stuff like that over there in the United States at the very least. There are things about capitalism that you should be allowed to criticize, absolutely, because there are absolutely problems with capitalism, but at the same time, I feel like it's a bit not so much over the top, but I feel like that doing such a wide-scale criticism of it while also not bringing up a solution that would work and not result in either Heil Hitler or Long Live Stalin. Yeah, hot women will fuck you if you have a good car. This guy's got the best chapter titles. He's also surprisingly down to earth. Reminds me a lot of the same guy from Actual Sunlight, actually. Like, I think that... I'm not going to say that the guy from Actual Sunlight is meant to be a... I'm not going to say that the guy from Actual Sunlight is meant to be a self-insert, because I'm not 100% sure if he is. But this guy here feels like the guy from Actual Sunlight. That level of cynicism, that level of, like, internal monologuing migrated to, like, a rich guy. Migrated to a rich guy who's also, like, a professional speaker. This guy does also actually talk to you about things like being misogynistic, but, like, that's not even the point of his character. The point of his character is that he's doing everything he can to get ahead in capitalism, so it's supposed to make him look like a bad dude anyway, but, yeah. Didn't I just tell you how busy my schedule is today? Big red fat lie. It's just... it's just weird. Like, I legitimately don't get it. I'm having trouble following along with it. Like, I get that it's meant to be a criticism of the bad sort of people that show up because of the problems of our system, but I mean, other than giving you a little bit of self-introspection, which, you know, might be worth the time to some people, you know, get them back on the straight and narrow. You get the idea? But at the same time, I just feel weird playing it, because if it isn't gonna suggest a solution, I don't know what the point is. I mean, I know this is first impressions, and he might be working up to something. Understated interest in luxury sex car. This is... Yeah, as I said, it really doesn't pull any punches. There is actually a trophy for looking at all these cars, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to go to all of them. I'll just go to a couple of them, so that I can keep going back and forth between chapters. I apologize if I'm going too fast in the text, by the way, but, I mean, you can always slow it down and mute the sound. Because, seriously, I don't want this video to go for 45 minutes. How far in are we anyway? 16 minutes? Fair enough. Yeah, I feel weird playing it. Like, you've heard me talk about it for 15 minutes. I mean, I guess if you want to... If you're looking for a bit of a hard-hitting, no punches pulled criticism of capitalism, this would probably do the trick. And I will admit, there have been some things here that are, like, real truths. But at the same time, I just feel weird about it, because my own personal politics is sending me away. I guess I do have to look at all the cars. I'm expecting him to, like, prompt me to be like, you know, I've looked at enough cars, but I guess you do have to look at all of them to move on. I'm not going to say whether or not it's good or bad, because I don't think that it's either. I just think that, right. I think it's time to go back up to him. Yep. There we go. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad, because it's really going to depend on what you think about capitalism. And the last 20 minutes or so of text should be enough to tell you pretty much about what you would think about this sort of game. I don't really know what to think about it. I don't know whether my own personal politics are getting in the way. I don't know whether it's my own situation that might be getting in the way. And it might even hit you a bit harder if you would go through that fancy little survey that I go through at the very beginning, because you can put in just how much you make or how much trouble you're in before, and it might actually modify the story. I don't know. I don't really know your situation. And I don't really know how you're going to accept this game. And to be fair, that's pretty much what I said about actual Sunlight. But I guess this one just isn't hitting me in the same way, and maybe that's why I'm not feeling the same about it. You get the general idea. I've basically been repeating that over the last 20 minutes. So I think we're just going to go through one more of the girls' chapters, and then we're just going to end this video off, because I don't really have that much else to say. I'll say one more thing about the writing, though. The writing's pretty good. Like, I can get an idea of who this guy is. I can get an idea of who the poor girl is. I can get an idea of her family, the people that the rich guy's been running into. You get the general idea. I get what he's trying to tell me about all these people and who they are. And yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Writing-wise, anyway. But anyway, let's talk about the game's performance, shall we? It runs on Unity, just like actual Sunlight, and it does have a couple of weird technical bugs. Like, there was one text screen that went below the screen for a few lines, so I didn't actually get to read what it was saying. And I saw that Unity bug where, for some reason, it actually showed part of the formatting text that changed the color of the text for some reason. Like, I don't know why that was a thing, but it was there. A couple of weird little things like that, but thankfully it still runs okay. Some weird VSync issues, but I mean, it's a really simple game. You don't need to worry about any sort of performance problems, and it doesn't really get... It doesn't really get, It doesn't really get, like, action-based or anything like that, so you don't really need to worry about that if you're just reading text, right? And I've run into no major problems like crashes or anything, and the game autosaves pretty frequently. Like, for some reason, it... I'm sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there. What was I saying? Yeah, the game doesn't autosave very frequently, for some reason. Sometimes it just goes between chapters without autosaving, and sometimes it'll autosave like every 10 minutes. Like, you won't even get to go through an entire chapter without it auto-saving twice. And it's a bit odd. And you even have manual saves, which are, oddly enough, in religious implements. Like that cross on the wall over there on the right. You can barely see it because the room's dark. But you can actually manually save at them. No save slots or anything, so if you screw it up, it's probably not that big a deal. Oh yeah, by the way, the old lady has MS. Yep, there's a lie. Oh, I'm actually playing the old couple now. Okay, I didn't realize. But yeah, there's the general idea. Oh, what's going on here? Pretend and not help. Oh man, they really put it in your face. Don't know why they insist on making me see this twice. Yeah, it looks like the old man's having a bit of a breakdown himself at this point. Also, this is a... Oh dear. Well, a little bit of a lag there, nothing too major. I shall see the end of the chapter. Wait, what? Did I just lock the door? Not entirely sure. Hang on. Interact. That tablet. I'm confused. Oh no, that's the toilet, right? Derp. That's the doorway out here, isn't it? Black screen. Loading times. I can see the crumbs on my screen. I should probably get those cleaned. Well, there's a spoiler for you. I might actually block that out. But, yeah, that was a look at Little Red Lie. You already heard what I had to say about it, but I'll try and summarize again. It's the same sort of thing as actual Sunlight. It's a hard-hitting take on capitalism. It really depends on your situation, your politics, what you are in the middle of your life right now, whether or not it'll hit you. Personally, it's not doing that much for me, but who knows, it might be different for you. So, you know, if you've been here for the last half an hour, you will probably have a general idea of whether or not you'll appreciate this game or not. So please, use your best judgment. But the Vita version is okay. I haven't noticed that many game-breaking problems. No, not many game-breaking problems at all. And by not many, I mean none. But there you go. That was a look at it. I'm going to shut up now. Because if I keep rambling, I'm just going to talk forever. So yeah, this has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.